I'm going to cover how you can get high premium sales in final expense life insurance, even though typically we work with clients that are on fixed incomes. Now, there are a few things that I've found and I'm going to cover here. I'm going to cover how to set the stage to ask for high premiums and then actually how to ask for them. But the reason why this came up is because where we work here at SLS, I had seen agents in other teams and other divisions getting all these really high premium sales. And at first, I sort of mentally discounted that achievement by saying, you know what, they're just going to cancel. Our clients can't afford those high premium deals. We hear the I can't afford it objection all the time. And then what happened was I actually went and looked at the data. I looked at the numbers to see how much of those policies actually stay on the books. And I reached out to my business partner, James Whitley. I was like, hey, based on the premiums that are really high, the policies with really high premiums compared to the policies with lower premiums, what percentage of them are actually staying on the books? And what he said is that the only policies that have a low business quality, meaning a low percentage of policies staying on the books, are the ones that are less than $50 per month. So last week, what I did is I said, you know what? We're just going to start quoting people a crazy high premium because the policies that are $80 a month have the same chance of staying on the books for a whole year as the ones that are $580 per month. Believe it or not. And the numbers don't lie. Like, we sat down and he told me about the statistics, and that is the truth. And I've seen it. So what I did last week is I said, you know what, guys, I talked to my whole team. I said, we're just going to start quoting people the absolute maximum amount of coverage to start, and we are going to work backwards from there. And we're just going to decrease in small premium amounts. We had our biggest week last week. We did 140,000 AP in last week, 148,000, almost 150K. We got a lot of the deals from that were big size premium deals. So this can really, really help new agents if you're trying to figure out, hey, how do I ask for those high premium deals and how can I make that money? And it can also help experienced agents if you're like, geez, I want to get my AP up, but I really can't put in any more work. And it's not like I can buy more leads because I'm already tapped out with how much I'm working and how many leads I'm working. So this video can help you do that. So in explaining to my agents to set the stage for how to ask for a high premium, I told them that it really comes down to the questions you got to ask. So you got to put your mind in the client's position. So imagine you're the client and you're at home and you're like, man, some insurance agent calls me to sell me something. What they're going to be thinking of right away is that this is going to cost them money. At least most of them will. Right? Someone's calling to sell me something on the phone. We know that we're not just giving someone information. Like, the clients know that we're not just there to provide them information. We're there to sell them something, and we make money off the sale. That's how insurance works. Since that's their main focus when you start, you have to get them switched from a premium bill money focus to a problem solution benefit focus. And the way that you do that is you have to ask them qualifying questions. You have to ask them the right questions in the engagement and in the fact-finding part of the presentation so that they will kind of be ready to accept those higher premiums, because what you do is you increase the pain by asking good questions. You're increasing the pain point. So you're increasing the urgency that the clients feel to make this happen, and you increase the reality of, hey, whoa, when I die, my kids are going to be in a really tough situation. And even if they're not going to be in a tough situation financially, most parents want to take care of this stuff. So what you're doing with these next questions that I'm going to go over here in just a second is you are increasing the amount of pain that that person feels so that they're more receptive to hear those higher premiums, and they think, hey, you know what? They're not even focused on the premium. They're just saying, hey, I'm not paying a lot of money. I'm getting a big benefit here. I'm getting a lot of coverage so that my family's going to get more than enough money to solve these problems when I pass. Now, it has to really start in your greeting, and you have to be energetic, enthusiastic, excited. You got to take some time to get to know your clients and have a good relationship with them, have a rapport built. But here are some of the questions that you're going to want to ask. This is a great word track that I use right here. As I like to ask, say their beneficiary name is Susie and the mom's name is Betty. So I'd say, Betty, what would Susie's day look like if you died tomorrow? So if you died tonight, what does Susie's day look like tomorrow? Walk me through that. That's a tough one. That's like, boom, you hit them real hard with that. Now, you ask this in the fact finding. You don't ask the second they answer the phone. Okay, you got to go through the greeting, the fact finding. If you email me for a copy of my script, I'll send it over. I don't have these questions in there. I don't have these questions in there, but I'll show you where you can implement them. It's just in the fact finding. So you say, hey, if you died tonight, walk me through Susie's day tomorrow, Betty. She's going to be like, oh, well, I don't know. Well, and you help guide her. Right? You say, okay, well, she's going to find out you died. Either you're already in the hospital dead or someone finds you at home. Somehow you're going to probably end up at the funeral home. right? Or crematorium or crematory, whatever they call it, or whatever. Susie's going to be there handling your final arrangements. And the funeral director is going to ask her, hey, I'm sure your mother was an amazing woman, I can already tell, and she raised an amazing daughter. But let's just get this on the table first. How are you paying for this? So Betty, when the funeral director asks Susie how she's going to pay for it, where's she going to get the money from? Where's the money coming from? And so you have to start, right? What's her day look like? And then you got to walk her through, okay, they're going to end up paying for the final, taking care of the final arrangements, because that's how it works, either that day or the day after. And the funeral director asks how they're paying for it. Where's she going to get that money from? Now, she could say, well, she's got a good job, it's in savings. Or she could say, hey, I don't know. Or someone else is going to pay for it. Or she's going to say she's really struggled. More likely than not, she's going to say she's going to struggle. I don't know where she'll get the money. It's going to be really hard. Okay, great. In either way, whether she says she can afford it or not, you ask this next question. Okay, well, if I can help find a program, right? If I can find a program for you that will cover these costs for Susie so she doesn't have to worry about it, and you can afford that program, would you want me to help you see if you can qualify? So you bring them through that whole track, because I'm sure as a mother you'd want to make sure you can take care of this. Okay, as a mother, if I can find a program that can take care of these problems for Susie and you can afford it, would you want me to help you see if you can qualify? Not would you want to apply for it, right? Would you want me to help you see if you can qualify? That's it. Okay, that's a great word track. Next, who's going to be impacted the most financially when you pass? So you can ask this before that series of questions I just asked. Say, hey, who's going to be impacted the most financially when you die? Or if you ask it after, who else is going to be impacted financially? If it's her daughter, Susie, say, okay, does Susie have any kids? Is she married? All right. So Susie, along with her kids and her husband, are going to be impacted by this financially. Right. Now, the reason why these questions work is because even if someone can afford it, even if her beneficiary can afford it, she obviously wouldn't want her daughter to have to come out of pocket for her final expenses, right? That's just like, makes sense. No parent wants to have to come out of pocket for that. They wants their kids to have to come out of pocket for it. So next question. What have you done about making sure that Susie doesn't have to pay for this from her own pocket? What have you already done to make sure that? And she could say, well, I did this. She could say, I have coverage. Or if she says, well, I already have a policy, say, okay, why'd you get that one in place? When that started, what was going through your mind when you initially got that one? How much is it? How much coverage is it? How much do you pay a month? But if they don't have anything prepared, you say, hey, why is that? Why haven't you? Just curious, if you don't mind me asking. Next question. You ask this as a corollary to that one, is what's prevented you from changing that situation? Has anything else prevented you from changing that situation from your daughter? Has anything else prevented you from making it easier for your daughter to take care of your final arrangements? Not if, but when you pass. This is something that's going to happen, Betty. Next question. Have you considered what would happen if you died tomorrow and you didn't do anything about this? Have you considered what your daughter's life would be like that day, that week, that month, that year? Hey, it could be impacted for a while. Have you considered that? Now, you may not ask all these questions that I'm going over here through every time, but now what you can do, what you see is asking these questions, you're on the phone with the client and you're getting them to start to understand the problem. So the problem is no longer I have to spend money every month. The problem is now my daughter's going to have to spend money when I die, or my beneficiary is going to be in a tough situation when I pass. So you go from being money focused to benefit focused. You see? How they're like, I need to solve this problem for them. The importance of the monthly premium diminishes. The importance of the benefit increases when you ask these questions. So you want to think about that. You're going through the sale with the client. Now, these questions are important and they're ethical. If some of you may be watching and be like, oh my God, I can't believe you asked an old lady that question. If you don't ask it, then you're doing a disservice to her daughter. Remember, you're not on the phone for Betty. You're on the phone for Susie. So when Betty's sitting there being all selfish with pinching her pennies, you got to realize that she's actually hurting her daughter. She's stealing from her daughter. By her not getting this policy, she's stealing from her daughter. Because she's saying, hey, you know what? I'm taking that money from you when I die. That burden's going on you. So you're asking these questions because you got to get them to think about these. These questions are going to separate you from other agents out there, by the way. These people don't ask these questions. One, they don't know what to ask. Two, they don't know why they're important. Three, they're scared to ask them. Don't be scared to ask these questions. They're not hard. People will appreciate you asking these questions once you're off the phone. I promise. You got to ask these tough questions because they are not unethical. They are actually more than ethical because you are helping the client confront the problem they have not confronted yet. This is the first time that Betty's been on the phone with someone who's asked her questions like this. I can almost guarantee it. Okay, now after you ask those questions, you go through the presentation, you say, after she's like, oh yeah, I need this. Once you understand that the client understands that they need it, once you can hear that, you'll hear it in the tone of their voice and what they say, then you want to say, great, well, if I can get you qualified for a plan today, I'm going to make sure you get all the paperwork sent out to you black and white, so you know, and I want you to make sure you keep it in a safe spot. You got like a safe at home or a drawer that you like to put stuff in. Okay, now when that comes in the mail, I want you to take it and put it right in there. It's going to be in a nice envelope. You can take it out, you can read it. It's going to be in a nice binding. And you want to paint the picture. Now what this does is it helps them take mental ownership. They're seeing the policy come in the mail. They're seeing the solution in their hands, because insurance is an ethereal thing. It's like not real, right? It's not like a tangible thing. They just get a policy and then money. So you want to paint that picture so they take mental ownership, go over the features, go over the benefits, say, hey, this is how it's going to help. Isn't that great? Yeah, present the solution. And then when you ask for the premiums and you go to quote, this is how I like to do it. I like to start with the max right away. So the company that we sell, Pioneer Security Life, they're same thing as American Amicable. It's the same exact company. $50K. Is for their day one benefit. $50,000 is the highest premium for most ages. I mean, the highest benefit. So you say, okay, now Betty, I'm going to have you grab a pen and piece of paper for me so you can write down these rates here. She should already have a pen and piece of paper, by the way, by writing down my name, my number, and any other details. I ask them to grab a pen and piece of paper in the beginning. It helps them see what they're going to buy, but it also helps gain compliance and let me take control of their actions. So I say, okay, now this $50,000 policy, Betty, for $50,000 benefit, it's only going to be $523 a month. She's going to be like, whoa, my gosh. So we've had people last week who we quoted $500, and they were like, let me do it right now. I'll pay today. I'll make my first payment. Now, this is different than whatever I had done before. Before, I was the typical quote of $120 a month, about $100, $120, about $80 a month, about $60 a month. So with this is how I got those high premiums. And we had people pay that day, and they were called to follow up with and verify that they want those policies. And they're like, yes, I want it. So these questions work, and quoting this way works. So I say, okay, say she's $50,000. It's only $520 a month. She's like, well, that's a little too high. Okay. So then we're looking at there's a $45,000 policy. That one's only $476 a month. Does that work for you? So the $50,000 is $5 something a month. Does that work for you? No. Great. Well, the $45,000 is only $470 something. Does that work for you? No. Okay. The $40,000 program is only $420 whatever a month. Does that work for you? Now, my numbers may not be exact here, but you get it, right? You start at $50,000 and you move down in a $5,000 increment. If you're selling a policy that maxes out at like a $25,000 or $30,000 death benefit, I would only move down like $3,000 in the benefit amount at a time, not a whole $5,000. Okay, so if it's like $30K max, you do the max. 30 is this much, 27 is this much, or 28 or 27,500, and then 25,000 benefit is this much. So you give them one at a time, though. You don't give them a bunch of options and then say which works best for you. 50,000 is $500 a month. Does that work for you? No. Okay, 45,000 is $475 per month. Does that work for you? No. Okay, 40,000 is $450 per month. Does that work for you? So then you go into asking for the name, the address, you get the benefit, you confirm the beneficiary, you start filling out the application. Now, when you get to the bank info, this is how you get the bank info on those high premium deals. And this is how you get the payment with the application too. This is the sauce right here. Saying, now Betty, most of my clients want to start their policies as soon as possible, but the earliest I can start yours is 2 business days from today, which is when the bank's going to send in your first payment. By the way, what's the name of the bank you use? Okay. So most of my clients want to start this policy as soon as possible, but the earliest I can start this is 2 business days from today, when the bank's going to send in your first payment. Because if you mark it as pay with the app, that payment's not going to draft for 2 days. So the earliest I can start your payment is 2 business days from today, which is when the bank's going to send in your first payment. Do you do your banking at a bank or a credit union? And then you can ask that way. Do you go to a bank or a credit union? Oh, I go to a credit union. Okay, cool. And what's the name of that one? Is it local to you over there? And they'll tell you, oh, yeah. I always ask, what's the name of it? Is it local to you? So that way they kind of breaks them off, like having to get their bank info. It's asking another question in there to kind of throw them off a little bit if they're getting insecure about it. Now, I already know that they have a bank account, because in the fact finding of my script, I also ask, some of our products offer discounts based on how you manage your finances. Do you have a active checking or savings account? Because I can help you get some discounts. Or just, do you have an active checking or savings account? Or do you pay your bills with a prepaid debit card like Direct Express, Green Dot, Cash App, or something like that? So you can ask those questions to figure out in the beginning if they're going to have a bank account or not. So that's it, guys. That's how you get high premium deals and walk the client through it. You build the need, you ask the right questions, and you present and quote in the right way to close the sale, and you ask for the bank account in the right way. I hope this really, really helps you guys increase your premiums and increase the amount of money that you make. If you want to check out my other videos, just look up right here. You're going to see this next video on how to handle every objection that comes up in final expense telesales. This video will actually help you close these sales if your client gives you any pushback and objects to it. So check out this video, because it's really, really going to work with this to help you make more money.